Welcome to our second episode of Museum Moments. Our first episode, if you missed it, you can go to YouTube and watch it. It was amazing. It was an incredible history of our Goodman family Judaic and Archival Museum, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary. We had a great interview with Terry and Mark Goodman and Susan and Rabbi Harold Loss. Today, I'm thrilled to be here with our co-chairs and curators of our museum, Susan Loss and Janet Stroh. We are going to tell you all about our permanent collection and some of the incredible pieces we are so fortunate to have in our museum. You might even get to hear about my personal favorite piece, L'chaim. Welcome to Janet and Susan, and we'll get started. Will you please tell us how the permanent collection came to be?
So when we started thinking about doing a museum, Terry Goodman and I went to Cajun conferences. We talked to everybody. We learned from them. We went to their museums. We went to museums everywhere and started seeing pieces that we thought were fabulous. And we thought, you know what? We can collect these kinds of things. A lot of them came from Israel. There's a lot of great Israeli artists. And so on our Israel trips, we would purchase pieces, or the group might buy a piece in honor of the clergy that took them. And that's how it all began. And then one thing after another, and then after another, and people would donate pieces in honor or memory of people. And it's just been a wonderful run.
Amazing. And we have some incredible pieces to talk about. Beautiful pieces.
Yes.
We do. And we typically exhibit the majority of our permanent collection for several months in the fall. And we like to place objects in a holiday chronological order. It helps you to work through the year that way. Pieces then are often used throughout the year to enhance other exhibits that we might bring in. So you may see them definitely in the fall. You may see them reoccurring throughout the year. And then throughout the building all year, there are pieces that are always on display, whether they be inside or out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So do you start like the Torah with Rosh Hashanah?
So we start at Rosh Hashanah, and we typically run through then if we have something that would be appropriate for Shavuot or backing up a bit, Passover.
Okay. That's great. So are you going to tell us about some of your favorite pieces today?
Yes.
We are. And I think we're going to go in chronological order.
I love it. Very succinct.
Right. In addition to which, there are ritual objects that you might find in your home throughout the year. So I think Shoshi is going to start with something like that.
Okay.
Right. One of the most unusual, interesting, and touching exhibits in our collection is the work of Me Poland, the first Judaica company established in Poland since World War II. The founders, Helena Ziernak and Alexander Prugar, travel across Poland, searching for traces of mezuzot in the door frames of homes where Jews once lived. When a home is located, they produce a plaster cast from the depression that's left in the door frame. This cast is used to create a bronze mezuzah engraved with the traditional letter Shin, which stands for Shaddai, one of the names of God. On the side of the mezuzah is engraved the address where the original mezuzah was hung. You can see it engraved on the side. They do amazing work. In our collection, we have 3 examples of these mezuzot. With each one, you receive a booklet that describes the family who lived there and a picture of the home. This very recent acquisition in our museum is a beautiful way to keep alive the memory of families lost during a tragic time in Jewish history. Okay.
Amazing, Shoshi. Thank you.
Mm.
How do you remember how you found them? Where did it?
I saw them on YouTube and then started looking into it, and we found the website and we contacted them, and we decided, they said, do you care where they come from? I said, no, just give us 3 different cities. This particular one is from Bialystok. And it's just fascinating. And we know people that have purchased these for their homes as a way to connect them with our past, which I think is just incredible.
I love that. It is very touching and meaningful.
Yes, absolutely.
Great addition to our museum.
Yes.
So we also have many beautiful candlesticks in the permanent collection. And these are one of my favorite sets because of the story behind them. They were created by Israeli silversmith Yossi Swed, whose workshop prides itself on creating pieces that are built part by part and assembled according to an exact engineering technique. These particular candlesticks are part of the Secret Synagogue Murano furniture set series. They reflect on the 15th century Inquisition, when Spanish and Portuguese Jews were either forced to convert or practice their Judaism in secret. Those that chose not to convert were known as Muranos, and fearing for their lives, had to hide all signs of their religion, praying and celebrating holidays out of the public eye, and disguising ritual items as everyday objects. Using this historical knowledge, the artist designed a beautiful set of armchairs with a dual purpose. They are lovely to look at as intricately detailed chairs, but they imaginatively house cushions that can be pulled out, reversed, and set back in place to reveal candle holders, allowing for Shabbat traditions to continue, even in secret.
That's amazing.
Right.
And the candlesticks are beautiful.
Yes.
Right. Well, the chairs themselves are beautiful, and the fact that they hide the candlesticks is even more meaningful.
More special.
That's wonderful. What did they do about Kiddush cups? You know?
Well, I would imagine that they were very creative in finding household objects, perhaps, or again, something that could be used in a secretive manner, so that should someone ask the question, they look like daily objects.
Right.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Kiddush cups, I like this little silver Kiddush cup. It is not the most ornate we have in our collection, but for me, it connects me to the past. I think of not only the story of its provenance, but the people who actually held it. It provides me with a tangible testimony that to their lives and a connection to common and continued customs and observances that we practice today. Its origins are traced to Dobczyce, Poland, and the underside reveals the maker's inscription and that it was made in 1884. A member of our temple, Dr. Nelson Hirsch, spent some time in this city teaching English, and he attempted to trace the location of the synagogue that the town's 736 Jews perhaps attended. Tragically, the history of the Jews in this town ended in August 1942, as did the synagogue, which was burned by the Nazis in an attempt to eliminate any trace of the Jewish people or their culture. Dr. Hirsch, however, was approached by an elderly man who told him that his father was present during the days when the synagogue was burned, and he managed to salvage this particular Kiddush cup. He presented this to Dr. Hirsch as perhaps one of the few remains that testified to the existence of Jews in this particular town. It may not be the biggest or the most decorative Kiddush cup, but for me, it has a powerful presence.
What a treasure.
Right, it really is. Especially, in fact, my family has some little tiny ones of the same ilk. The story may not be the same, but they certainly came with them from the Pale.
And the history and the tradition that goes with it, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It just has that, for me, the tactile just makes it all the more important. The fact that somebody held it and now we have it, we can hold it. Yes.
That's great. Shoshi.
Our collection contains many examples of the way in which creative artists keep alive beautiful traditions. In the honey and apple dish, designed by Dan Givone, the apples and honey sit together in the center main dish on top and on individual dishes below. Engraved on each dish are the words Shana Tova Umatuka, a good and sweet year. Imagine if you own this piece, the joy that you would have distributing the lower sections of this bowl to family and friends.
It's elegant and beautiful.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
I would love that on my Rosh Hashanah table.
You're not kidding.
It's beautiful.
There are also many beautiful paintings, lithographs, and prints in the collection. The series entitled Holidays and Traditions in Israel is a charming collection of lithographs by the artist Simon Karsmar. Karsmar, born in Warsaw in 1903, studied at the Warsaw School of Fine Art and later moved to Paris to further his painting. He survived the war by joining the resistance, and in 1951, he and his family emigrated first to Israel, then to Canada, and then back to Israel, where he opened a studio in Safat and became a member of their artist community. Much of his early years in Poland were spent visiting his grandfather in a shtetl near Vilna, and the shtetl daily life served as a basis for his work, as did his life in Safat, where, according to his son, he found a new source of inspiration with its inhabitants and picturesque architecture and alleyways, providing him with a second shtetl. His works do not necessarily depict one area, but are really a compilation of features and people characteristic of most shtetl. This particular work, upon close examination, you might need a magnifying glass, depicts people marking the celebration of Sukkot. The two adults and child are dwarfed by the buildings as they walk down the street or alleyway, but they are not insignificant, for they are carrying lulavs and etrog holders as they make their way to a Sukkot service. Juxtaposing their upright stance with the curved domes and arches of the buildings, to me, reminds me of the straight lulav comprised of a palm branch that can be thought to represent the spine. How proud these people seem to be. And this brings me to the two etrog containers that we have in the collection. Sukkot lasts for 7 to 8 days, and these containers are designed to hold and protect this precious fruit, which some say represents the heart. One of our antique etrog holders is a beautiful upright case with a hammered design, giving it the textural effect of the peel of the fruit, and carved flowers around the center, perhaps symbolizing the flowers of the citron tree. At the base, there are Hebrew letters that are raised referencing the etrog. Our other etrog container is from Poland and dated 1850. This charming holder rests on its side, supported by a hand-chased leafy stem. The container this time has cross hatching, and I like to think it is to mimic the skin of the fruit, and it has a small opening at the top to allow the fruit to breathe and the scent to permeate the surrounding area. When you get a chance to visit our museum, I definitely encourage you to look at the Karsmar painting and the etrog containers.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Dreidels.
Yeah.
Okay. Dreidels are a source of joy and bring out the child in all of us. And we have many interesting and varied dreidels in our collection. The dreidel proves not just to be an entertaining game at Hanukkah time, but an object that lends itself to various artistic interpretations. We have lattice woodcut dreidels by the artist Enya Keshet, which echo her paper-cut print works that are in our collection. We have translucent glass and wood dreidels and an amazing eclectic collection of dreidels donated to us by Robert Lask. Hanukkah was a favorite holiday of Mr. Lask's, and his collection of approximately 300 dreidels is a colorful compilation of traditional and contemporary style dreidels made out of ceramic, wood, metal, and glass. The ones I would like to focus on are the 3 dreidels from the Rainbow Collection by the Israeli artist Avi Louboutin. Louboutin's works capture old Jewish traditions, but with a modern, vibrant style. These particular dreidels are rhodium-plated brass and glass. They are carefully painted and have a very delicate leaf design incorporated in them. Each one of them has 4 points around the side that are decorated with corresponding colored stones, as is each handle tip. I like to think that the artist internalized an important aspect of Hanukkah, which is freedom, and in so doing, took the liberty to translate the well-known shape of the dreidel into a sphere which has no constraints, and yet appreciates tradition by incorporating 4 points to remind one of the 4 Hebrew letters, Nun, Gimel, He, and Shin. In addition, Hanukkah is known as the Festival of Lights, and these dreidels reflect amazing light, no matter if they are stationary or turning, providing new spin on an old object.
I love that. They're beautiful and they're modern, but hold so much tradition within them. It's incredible.
It's always interesting to see how a number of artists have taken that dreidel and put themselves into it. And they're beautiful no matter what they look like, but the interpretations are very interesting.
That's great.
Okay, we will now show 2 pieces from our Passover collection. The first is a steamroller tractor by Israeli artist Avi Biran. In a fanciful way, depicts the search for chametz. On the top of the tractor, we see a candle and a feather used traditionally during the search for chametz. What is located during the search is picked up in the shovel. Whatever remains is crushed by the rear wheel. In our next piece, magnificent artistry is demonstrated in the wooden Seder plate by Alex Gruss. Wood, gems, precious metals, and shells come together on the side panels, depicting periods in Jewish history. The 3 mezuzot are placed inside the center case, and the glass bowls are filled with the symbols of the holiday to be used during the Seder meal.
What a special piece.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it's just beautiful. We would like all of these on our holiday tables.
You're not kidding. I wish.
Does the museum ever loan out their pieces?
No.
I had to ask.
No.
Can you imagine how many people would want to borrow each one?
God forbid what would happen to I worry.
That's why they have to come to the museum.
We are so nervous when we're handling them and putting them in that the thought of taking them anywhere else would just be frightening.
Well,
that's an important part to remember, is that we used to clean them ourselves in the past, silver cleaning, and our wonderful volunteers would come in and spend hours. And now we have a lovely person that thankfully cleans the pieces for them. They just shine. I mean, they do get tarnished, and we handle most of them with rubber gloves or special claws, so as not to put our fingerprints on them.
Well, it's a labor of love, cleaning them and making sure they sparkle and are beautiful. And we learned in our last episode that the cases were specially made. So hopefully there's not as much dust. They're still going to tarnish a little bit and need to be cleaned, but those cases are amazing.
They are amazing.
But talking about hands and cleaning, it's a good segue, because our permanent collection is not just a visual jewel, but can be an educational source as well. I am always learning something new when I look at the pieces in our collection. For instance, I never knew about ceremonial wedding rings. We have 3 in our collection, and they are definitely worth taking the time to see. These rings, sometimes referred to as house rings and often made of gold, feature wonderful miniature, intricate architectural palaces, houses, temples, or symbols that are crafted upon the ring base, okay, taking the place of any gemstones. Knowing nothing about these rings, I did some research, and my research indicated that the appearance of these wedding rings as an official part of the ceremony is documented as occurring in the 14th century and most likely originated in Europe. The architectural symbols so entwined with these rings are thought to represent, as the huppah does, the couple's new life and home together. The extravagant price of these rings, especially as craftsmanship advanced over the years, led experts to believe that a ring would typically belong to either the family or the community at large, and then would be lent to the couple for the wedding. Within some wealthy families, though, the rings became family heirlooms passed on from generation to generation. An additional component of these rings, such as the one that we have in our collection, is the secret it contains, because the top of the house ring opens up to display a concealed compartment, most likely to house the actual wedding band, perhaps to be given to the bride later. There's some speculation, though, that these rings during medieval Europe were actually ornate engagement rings, with the plain band being given during the actual ceremony. Either way, these rings are truly novel and an interesting addition to our collection. The 3 rings that we have are replicas of ones found in Russia and Poland during the 16th and 17th century, and give one an excellent sense of the design and detail, the size and the scale that were common during these times.
That's beautiful.
I like to try one on because I think it could be heavy.
They look like they're heavy.
They do
Look.
Yeah,
for sure.
beautiful though.
Okay. On our last mission to Israel, we visited the gallery of our friend Emil Schenfeld, where we found Birkat Kohanim, the priestly benediction. When you first look at these 3 pieces, you see deconstructed letters of the blessing. You believe you're viewing hieroglyphics with no apparent meaning. Standing in a special place, though, the letters come together and are transformed into words, the words of the priestly benediction. I've often watched visitors to our museum smile with joy when they discover the words, at times with the help of a docent or a rabbi. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, just beautiful. And those are new, right? Those are relatively new?
Yes.
Okay.
It's probably our most recent addition.
And will you just tell us, if someone was ever interested in donating a piece for the permanent collection, how does that happen?
Contact the temple, contact Miriam or Mimi, and tell them that you want to make a donation to the museum, and they'll help you go through it. They'll take
and then there's a process that
take you through the steps.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
When we needed a new podium in our outdoor sanctuary, we turned to another Detroiter, Richard Bennett. He answered the request made by our clergy for a functional and beautiful podium to stand in front of the ark. His design, constructed with steel, seems lighter than the space that it occupies. It's just beautiful. And finally,
Our outdoor sanctuary.
oh my goodness. Every time I see it, I just fell. Just wonderful. Another outdoor piece, and this is our final one for today. L'chaim by Mark Chatterley. Our collection also includes pieces by other local artists. Mark Chatterley, who lives in Williamston, Michigan, is known for his life-size figurative sculptures. He often interlocks his characters and his technique as seen in our family celebrating as one. Titled L'chaim, to life. What a positive message for all of us at this time.
Thank you. That's beautiful. We are so fortunate to have this museum. We are incredibly blessed to have all of these pieces in our permanent collection, and I'm so thrilled that you could both share your favorite pieces and a little of the history and tradition with us today. Before we wrap up, I know Janet has something that she wants to share. Take it away.
Thank you. The Goodman permanent collection is truly meaningful. From a purely artistic viewpoint, it helps to document the evolution of design and techniques used to create ritual objects and gives a sense of the aesthetics of an era. But it does more than that. For me, the collection confirms the existence of the Jewish people throughout time and the ongoing practice of Judaism. The collection runs the gamut of the ordinary to the ornate and allows each one of us to connect to the ritual objects that we might use in our observances with a sense of the past and the present and with a sense of hopefulness for the future.
I love that.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you both so much. And thank you for being here today. And we will have more episodes coming. So stay tuned for more on our Goodman Family Judaic and Archival Museum and their 25th anniversary. Thanks.
Thank you.
Very so much.
Thank you.